Yo guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the Three Stupid Idiots podcast. This time, the 5th episode of the podcast. I've written 4 in my notes, and I've just realised it's the 5th.
Number 5.
Anyway, welcome back, guys.
Yeah, Dan,
so of course,
number 5.
hope you guys have been enjoying this podcast so far. I put a poll up on my Instagram, which got ignored twice, so go and do that. Anyway,
what is it? No one replied to it. What's going on?
I've got like 2 so far. I haven't checked it for like an hour, but anyway.
Okay.
So the podcast we're going to be getting into today, as you could probably tell by the title, is this one's probably going to be a bit darker of our other podcast, but it's about the wonderful guy that is Mike Majlak. I said it right this time. Fuck you guys.
Oh my god.
Anyway,
I was ready to correct you as well.
So basically,
He's done his research and he actually knows.
If you haven't checked out our social medias, they'll be on the screen right now. We've got Instagram, our Out of Context Twitter, and our TikTok. If you want to go and follow those, they'll be on the screen right now. Linked in the description. Go and give them a follow. And as well, if you are new, please subscribe to the video, because we know there's a lot of you who are watching the video who aren't subscribed, or watching the videos who aren't subscribed. Please go and do that. And also, while you're down there, go and like the video. That'd be much appreciated. Leave a comment. Like, we love that. We'll always respond. So yeah, that'd be lovely. Thank you guys. But anyway, so we're getting into a topic that these guys are a bit more like friendly with, because I noticed that we've been doing like topics that you guys aren't as interested in, obviously, which is like not helpful. But yeah, so we just get going, because there's a lot we got to get through in this podcast. So
Let's go.
Mike is probably just like, firstly, like if you haven't heard of Mike, or you just like you've never seen him before, I wouldn't even recommend to go and watch his videos. Just buy his book, which is called The Fifth Vital. Just literally go and buy it. It's like everything we're going to talk about in this podcast is basically in that book, and like it's amazing. Like the stories that he tells are just incredible. So I go and but if you don't want to read the book,
been through it.
If you can't read, go and watch Logan Paul's podcast, Impulsive. It's a lot better than this one, but yeah, it's a wonderful podcast. He's on there. And there's an episode on there. We'll leave the link to. Actually, we should leave the link to that podcast in the description below, where he talks about his life. So yeah, go and watch that. It's an amazing podcast. Like, it's really good.
Have you watched the whole thing yet, Dan?
I have watched the whole thing. Yes, it was like.
Oh my god!
You're watching it, yeah. You're watching it, and you're just like, fuck, man. It's just fuck. Like some of the shit he's gone through. So let's go through that now. And of course, one thing with Mike that. Before, like, obviously, if you've just seen him on the Impulsive podcast, you'll think he's just like, you probably wouldn't know. But, like, first thing about him was that he was a massive drug addict. And it's just like it was bad. Like, some of the things we talk about later, it's just like, it's rough.
He's got some incredible life stories, to say the least.
Yeah. And I mean, his book, which was one of the first things that was said in that podcast, Logan said this, was that Mike has been spending the better half of a decade writing this book, The Fifth Vital, which just shows you how much of
I can't imagine writing a book.
I know. Like, I can't even imagine spending like 5 minutes writing a book, never mind a decade. Which I think really just shows how.
I don't think you write a book in 5 minutes.
That's true.
Trash book.
Even with how quickly I can write.
It'll be a picture book.
But yeah. So,
It'll be a picture book.
Yeah, I mean, like, Mike is just like, he's a person who perfectly shows off, like, a perfect example of just like someone coming from the lows of the lows to just like the highs of the highs. Because I mean,
highs of highs.
Man, this guy going out with Lana Rhoades, man. Like, this guy getting that paper. You know what I mean?
She was a birthday present.
Yeah.
Oh my, is that how it started?
She was a birthday present too.
Yeah.
No way.
Logan got her. Have you not seen the vlog? Logan basically surprised Mike on his birthday with Lana Rhoades.
Oh my days.
Because he was a big fan.
Jesus.
And one thing led to another.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's the highs of the highs. You got to start down here. You got to climb the mountain before you get to Lana Rhoades.
Reverse.
Yeah. But yeah, like literally, you could tell on the podcast, like you just shows how much he cares for this book, because you could tell he was choking like feelings down, like you just tell, just to see like someone usually as bubbly and positive as him just broken down. It was just like, you know, even me the first time watching it, I was like, fuck, like this is.
Are you crying?
Oops, sorry. This is clearly gonna send him to my places. No, I wasn't crying, but I was just like, fuck, dude. Like, I know when something's like messed, but like, yeah. Anyway, let's go. So, so he said his drug addiction started when he was 17 years old. So his addiction stemmed from receiving his first painkillers at age 16. He didn't actually start his addiction until 17, but his addiction started at 16 when he got painkillers for his broken femur, I think it was. Yeah, broken femur.
Femur, yeah.
But like, really, for me, in my opinion, that was just scared me because it's like, that's how easy something like that can start off with. Because he reiterates this a lot in like later in the podcast, but he literally says how like this could be anyone. Like,
because that wasn't choice, that was just medical advice.
Because when you hear about drug dealers, you always think, selfishly in the back of your mind, you're always thinking like, you got yourself into that hole, you dug yourself there. You know what I mean? Like, you've got yourself there. But his story literally tells you that that's not true. You know what I mean? Like,
well,
it can just start from like.
Well, it depends. Very situational.
You can't just say he didn't really have a choice because it started like that, but it pushed
I think it's
it.
that whole epidemic, as in like opioids, or whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah, because it was an opioid epidemic. I think it was. It was like early 90s, wasn't it? Or like something like that. Yeah, it's just fucked.
I think that one, I don't think you can really supposedly choose, especially if you're on it for medical reasons.
Yeah.
So I think his situation's hard.
Yeah, it's a very difficult thing to do, and of course, talk about. But then he goes on saying at 18 years old, tried his first street Oxycontin, which he says is a memory that's always ingrained in his memory. And I think that sort of speaks the whole story by itself, because that was the first street one he tried, and yet it's in his head. And that literally just tells you that this just like spiraled completely out of control. And of course, by senior year of, I think it was either college or high school, probably college if he was 18, he was a full-blown drug addict, which just shows you how quickly.
It'll be high school.
A lot of him and his friends were at the same time.
Oh yeah, it will be high school. It will be high school. Yeah, because he said that later, didn't he? That there was a lot of people in his class that were pretty much just like drug addicts.
Even people you wouldn't expect to be. It just gets you so hooked.
Yeah, and I mean he mentioned that he's sweated, like he's had withdrawal sweats, like in front of like Logan Paul and like all the people on the podcast.
Isn't Oxycontin like well, it's not legal anymore, but it was illegal like heroin.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah,
that's
why it was.
What was the company? What was the company called? I've written it down somewhere in here. We'll get onto it later. But there was a company that was like a massively supplying it.
Something
in the 90s, because it was. He said it was labelled this miracle drug. Yeah. But yeah.
What was it, Joe?
And then of course
something pharma. I'm not sure.
Pharma. So it was pharma something. It's pharma something. I've got it written down in there somewhere. But then and of course about the book he was writing as well. He said this book is for people who are like at the lowest of the lows, which is just where he was obviously. And I think it's just so good that like he's writing this book to help other people get out of that space, because he's done it. Like, it's just, I just think it's really inspiring, to be honest. Because obviously he said he had no home at the time of being an addict. He slept on sofas, he slept in cars, on the street even. And he says about his time in rehab, it was kind of like that little bit of renewed hope, like every time he went. And that really hit me really, was where he said every time he went, which just shows you like, you don't just go there once, like, you're in and out. Yeah. It's like you're yo-yoing in and out of
little steps.
Just like, because like I've seen people in my family. Well, maybe not seen them, but like I know people who this has happened to, and it's just like, fuck, like, you know what I mean? It's just like, fuck's sake. It's not hard to fall. It's not hard to fall into this. Don't worry, I'm good. But like, you know what I mean? It's so easy to fall into that.
I can see it.
Do you think it's like scary of how easy it is to fall into that like
definitely
of like
yeah, definitely, especially with like people with like addictive personalities, even if it's nothing to do with drugs. Apparently this one thing, if you take it once, someone with that type of personality, it spirals so much. You go downhill so fast.
I mean, this is another thing that I got from the podcast, and Mike stating, I've said this in this podcast already, but he said like he states that addiction can quite literally happen to like anybody, and I just wrote in like brackets because it was just my immediate thought. It was just a scary thought, man. Like more like in America, he stated as well, more than 2 million people are struggling with addiction, and it claims thousands of lives per year, and that's not only in America, of course. We get that here as well, like. because especially here in the news, you hear like a few months back about the MDMA in like clubs. That was a bad thing for like quite a while here, wasn't it? It was like,
yeah,
that was on the. Do you remember when that was on the news? Like all that stuff. Do you know?
Joe doesn't remember.
No.
It was like I think it was like around July time, and like there was like a spike in like MDMA deaths, and like it was terrifying. Fucking hell. And it's just like people didn't even take it, like they were slipped into their drinks. It scares
God.
the shit out of me, man. Imagine like
you don't know.
You don't know, like
it says here, even in the UK leads Europe in the number of drug overdoses and heroin addicts.
It's terrifying, isn't it? It is
Dub
scary.
for the UK?
Is that a dub? Dub City.
Jokes.
A dub.
We
Is
probably
that a
should.
dub?
We're not joking about that.
But-
No, we're not.
Well, we are joking about it.
But yeah.
Don't take that literally.
But like
we're
yeah,
not celebrating our heavy.
we're just
addicts
bringing like a
and
bit of light. You know, we're not obviously that is a terrible thing that happens, but of course. Yeah, I think we probably could get in trouble a lot of some of the things we say, but that's just because we bring light to everything. That's all that is. We're just bringing light to the situation. Come on, we like to bring the mood up. But
I don't know if it is bringing light, if it brings trouble.
I mean, yeah, that's true. That's true. Thinking about that. But yeah, you know, I always
We just got a backpedal.
But we need, you know, I think it is important that we talk about this, to be fair. And like, I think it is good. Honestly, this is the truth. I think when bad things happen, it is incredulously important that you make jokes about it. That is my opinion, because
to some extent, that's kind of Logan Paul's downfall. He deals with problems by.
I did not condone that. I'm looking at my camera directly.
Again, it's very situational.
I did not condone that. That was a terrible thing that he did. But like, I think like, yeah, you're right. It's very situational. But I think like when that, how am I going to say this, man? Like, I think when bad things happen, I think you should be allowed to joke about it because it's something that brings people's moods up. And I think like everybody needs cheering up sometimes, because I think mental health is just
that is again situational.
Yeah, it is a tad very.
If your brother got hit by a car and died, I don't think you could go to your mum and start laughing about it and saying, "Ha ha, that was funny."
Unfortunately, it wasn't a bike. Works.
Fuck's sake.
But anyway,
anyway,
back to the very, very, very serious podcast we're doing. So this is one of the like most like just like kind of like, I guess kind of like funny things about it, but like not in that way, obviously. But like Mike obviously says that the like center of most addictions at the time was in Connecticut, which is obviously where he was born. So like obviously like that kind of the unluckiness of that is just like, you know, it just shows you how bad it probably was for him. Because you know, you, no matter how hard you try, you can't fathom how hard it actually was. Like you wouldn't be able to. It's just like you can't.
Not unless you've been there and experienced it yourself, which none of us have.
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly. You just know people who have been there, and like, well, I mean, I do anyway. I don't know about you two, but like, I know people who have been on that way, and it's just like, it's horrible. So yeah, I know what it does to people, and it's scary, man. But yeah. So like, now we'll go into like why it was so easy for him to get, and it's just like you read this now and you're like, what? Where it's just a bit where it's like, so of course the false advertising of the Oxycontin pill to chronic like disease patients. So Mike states how he learnt to take the time release seal off these pills at 17 years of age, and these time release pills were basically so the time release was basically what stopped you getting like, I'm pretty sure it's what stopped you getting higher, or it made it like quicker. And he learned how to take these off at 17.
Like 2 or 3 days, so it didn't affect you.
It didn't affect you as much. But, like, he learned to take this off at 17. So like,
it doesn't feel like anyone
these people were giving these pills to like chronically ill patients. It's like,
yeah, apparently it's like the equivalent to morphine.
Oh, is it?
Like, in nowadays, yeah.
It's just, I think it was kind of stupid that they were like this company was mass producing it at the rate that they were, because it made it so like accessible for like on the streets. But like,
yeah,
it's just
because you could buy them over the counter.
Exactly. It's like it's nuts, isn't it? Like you can. What? It's ridiculous.
Such a stupid thought.
So Oxycontin is the brand.
Yeah.
It's like when smoking used to just be anywhere and everywhere, but just on a worse scale.
Yeah.
More damaging.
And I mean, Mike said in that podcast as well, he literally vividly remembers turning that pill into heroin at 17, which is like, do a bit of self-reflection there, because that's what I did when I was watching the video. I was like, well, I mean, obviously, Finn, neither of you are. This doesn't work. But like, obviously, you know, Mike, think about it. You're near 17, and I'm 17. Like, just like, imagine being in that situation at 17. Like,
Purdue Pharma found it.
Purdue Pharma, that's it. Thank you.
They had to pay 600 million in fines, but it was way too late.
But fuck you now.
Imagine.
Everyone was
like,
already hooked on it at that point.
Yeah. Oh, what? Purdue Pharma? They had to get the fine for the.
Yeah.
I mean, rightly
for
so.
False
Rightly so.
advertising. For false advertising, not even anything else. But
they should have been fucking like. I don't even know. What do you do? You've
liquidated.
You've caused the deaths of like all the, you know, the downfalls of so many like innocent people. It's just like.
Should I Google how many?
It's like some movie, isn't it? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
You have that like evil company in the world that kind of controls everything and can just take down what they want.
This is a terrible comparison, but the Lorax. But like, you get what I mean? Like, but that's what makes it even worse though, because you can compare it to the Lorax. Like it's just what? It's stupid.
That's like, an Avengers level threat.
Oh, shut up! I was literally waiting for it, man. But literally though, like, imagine like being like Mike, remembering clearly him turning that pill into heroin. Like, bear in mind, I'm 17. I cannot imagine doing that. I can never I couldn't. It's just like
heroin's scary.
It is, isn't it?
The stuff it does to you.
It's just like
is.
All right, no, yeah. This is the most messed up thing about the entire of that podcast. Right? Was this next thing? So do you remember when he told that story about the Produce Farm? How Produce Farm put 32 Percocets behind a time release seal in one of their pills. So in that pill, there was
32 Percocets behind one Oxycontin.
And he speaks on how someone in his high school didn't notice, chokes to death on his own vomit in the back of his mate's car.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's like that. It's like that. It's like, because thing is though, I like as much as you like wanna.
That was a healthy like he played basketball for their school. He was like one of the top kind of basketball players I think in that area, and he had such a good like career ahead of him. And he didn't do drugs, I don't think, and he was such a clean kid. And then he just tried it once at a party.
But the thing is, even though it is that kind of stuff, in your head, it's fine because obviously his friends who offered him it after winning the game had been like, obviously they'd done like pills before and it had been fine. So it's just like.
Yeah, that's why I think it makes it worse.
Yeah.
Because like some people can be completely fine, and then other people, like, for example, that guy, died from an overdose from one pill. Yeah.
I mean, that is a very good message to be like, just don't ever do it. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, not even once.
Just don't take that risk.
There's no need to take the risk for it. But it's like, but as I say, once again, you can't really blame the kids because it's like, for them, that's been safe so far. Like, you know what I mean? It's like,
yeah.
But it was what I was thinking about just now was like what you said earlier, Finn. I was like, you could just get these. It wasn't like there was any barrier. You could just go and get them. You get them from a counter. Like,
it's It's like going into like Tesco and going to the pharmacy section. You just buy them there.
Yeah. But
That's
like
stupid.
Yeah. And then actually, this is a little debate that I wanted to go in for the podcast, and this is something that Mike said. And Mike said there's been an ongoing debate about whether addiction is a disease or a choice. So what do you guys think? What do you guys think about that?
Well, scientifically, it is an addiction. It is a disease. Addiction is a disease.
An addiction is an addiction. Yeah.
No, but it is,
but
like,
it depends,
scientifically.
because you can have like an addiction to other things, like good things.
Yeah.
It still makes it a disease. It still does make it a disease, though. It doesn't have to be a bad addiction.
It's really what you define as a disease. Because if you say that, if you say it like that, then I'm trying to think of an example. Like, let's just say
Google
like
a definition for a disease.
Because would you say like anxiety is a disease? Because that's just to do with your psyche as well. If you think about it, it's like, you know what I mean? Because it's just like you have that sort of view towards something. You know, do you get what I'm saying?
I need to.
The disease is a disorder or a disorder of structure or function in a human, animal, or plant, especially one that produces specific symptoms or that affects a specific location. That is not simply a direct result of physical injury.
Okay. So I guess under that it would come under it, but yeah. The reason I wanted to debate that, which is going to sound stupid, is because after Mike said two things. So the first thing he said is there is an 100% link between mental health and addiction, and I think like that's another thing because it's like that's another thing. But the thing is with that is so many people today suffer with mental health, so it's just like, you know, could people
and then but then if he's talking about addiction to like drugs. There's things that say like these specific drugs are supposed to help that mental issue. That's why I think it all depends on like what you're trying to say. Whether it's an addiction to something positive or addiction to a drug.
Because actually, this is actually something I can link to. So I saw a video by Grade A Underwriter because he hasn't uploaded in like a year, and he uploaded another video last week, which was about him and antidepressants, and he said that he doesn't take antidepressants anymore because of the side effects. Because he says that, like, obviously, he said in his videos that antidepressants can lead to suicidal thoughts, which is I didn't know that, and that's stupid.
That kind of defeats the purpose of it.
I didn't know that.
So it's like, because he says that he just had coping mechanisms. Or no, Logan said that as well in the podcast, didn't he? He said that he just has coping mechanisms to it, with his depression when he had it. Or was that Mike? It was either Mike or Logan. I can't remember. It was one of them. But they said like they don't take antidepressants either because of that kind of factor. So it's just like it's kind of, so obviously like it would make sense that people with mental health would turn to drugs, even though it's like it's sad. It makes sense because like obviously they need a release from it. You know what I mean? Like they need to get out of it somehow. So and that's how they see it, which of course is sad. But like and then this is probably the most important thing he says in the whole podcast. I need your opinions on this because it's just like big message. Mike spreads the message to show literally everybody the light or happiness if you succeed. So like he said this is specifically what he said add value to someone else's life. And like if you take one thing away from any of our videos ever, that like just take that, because like we all have like selfish moments. We all have it. This. I knew I was waiting for what he'd say. I was waiting for him to do that. But like
just add value.
Like make you like time to make someone smile and laugh. Like because this is it. I'm gonna ask you an opinion about this. What do you guys think of people who just like purposefully just like are annoying or like are a nuisance? Because Finn, you'll know about this specifically because of customers. Because I know this, and it just does my head in. Like, what do you think?
What, like you?
Whoa. Damn.
People who like go out there to annoy people.
Yeah.
It was just why.
Yeah.
Like you get some people, for example, say at like a work, like where we work in like a retail environment. If you have someone that comes in here, like, you're doing your job, like, you can't do more than your job. So like, someone's asking for something more, you're like, what am I supposed to do?
I think like sometimes
like you're getting angry at them and they're like, it's difficult.
Yeah, because I think sometimes people, you've always got to think about this when you approach anyone. Like, you don't know what they're going through. You don't know if that's, to get back to the podcast, you don't know if that's whether that's drug addiction, you don't know whether that's mental health problems, you don't know if that's something at home, or like, whatever. Like, it should always be just like, what am I looking for here? Like, positivity to everyone, basically. I try and do that, and I sometimes fall victim to it. I can't hold my hands up and say that, but like, you guys aren't gonna agree with this, but I do try and like be as positive to as many people as I can, like, all the time, which doesn't work, but yeah, I mean, like, anyway.
Sometimes.
It's a lie.
Yeah, sometimes.
All you do is shit on me, Dan.
No, I promise it's good intentions. I mean it. Alright. It's for the best. Promise. But anyway, so now we're going to get into just some things about Mike, which was his lowest point. Guessing you guys know about this on the podcast. Which was just like, this really just showed me like how...
Granddad.
Yeah, like, fuck. That story is so fuck, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
my God. That was hard for me to listen to, man. Honestly. But like, yeah. So obviously, like, he says in 2010 as well was the year that he started crack cocaine. He got addicted to that, and that's what he described as the worst year of his life. And this is obviously around the time that he was getting involved with the cartels, wasn't he? Well, not cartels, but I guess like in America they're not really cartels, are they? But like the gangs, and he was like, that's around the
drug
time.
Gangs.
That's around the time that he broke his ankle. Oh my God, that story.
Oh, that was grim. Fuck that.
Oh, it was awful.
Ugh.
And then when, oh no, you know what the other one was? Where that guy, the big boss, yeah. Alright, well, we'll explain the story, but do you know about this?
What, with a pistol?
When he owed them the money. They owed him the money, yeah.
Yeah.
So like, basically, he was part of this like drug gang in America, and basically this guy had been like, alright, I need 10k off you. You owe me 10k. You don't give me in the next week, I'll come to this house and kill everyone in here. Like, seriously, I was great. He comes back next week. They don't have the 10k. He's like beating this guy up on the floor with a gun, like just knock it. It's again like you can't fathom it. You can't fathom being in this situation. And then Mike tells him to stop. Of course, like please stop. And then the guy puts the pistol in Mike's face. Imagine staring right down the barrel of your life. I'm just gonna say it like that. Like, imagine. Well, what would you do? What would you do in that situation?
Nothing.
Well, I mean,
there's nothing you can do.
At that point, he was quite used to that because every time it happened before, he would say, "Shoot, go on,
shoot me, shoot."
But then when it came to that guy, who was absolutely massive and he knew would actually kill him, he chose to not say anything, which was definitely the best.
I think I would. I don't have no fucking clue. Just be sat there or stood there.
But just your life is in someone else's hands. And that's because that all started out from drugs and drug addiction, and just like, yeah. And you've really got to look at it. You've got to think Mike was there, and now he's here. It's like, what? Like, oh my days.
Very big difference.
Forget about Manchester City against QPR. Forget against Watford against Leicester. That is a comeback. Like, that joke was shit.
What about Liverpool Barcelona?
But anyway. Hey, we don't talk about that one. Alright? That one's banned. That one's not allowed. But anyway, but just like, yeah, all jokes aside, like just staring down the barrel that could end your life.
What would you do?
In your face. Just imagine seeing just, what would I do? Say something stupid and die, probably.
Say something absolutely stupid and get shot.
I'm not gonna lie. I'll be like, hey man. Hey.
What?
Hey. And I would just be shot. But yeah. Anyway. So yeah, back to the obviously the lowest point. So obviously, yeah, he said, Joe mentioned it. It was, the lowest point was basically where his grandfather was like basically dying of Parkinson's, and his mother obviously was like broken by this, and then like he asked him to, what was it? She asked him to look after her at his house, and he was round there, and his grandfather was like screaming for help downstairs, but Mike couldn't help him because he was upstairs paranoid, smoking crack.
Yeah.
And at that point, and he knew that was his lowest point as well. And again, it's like I'm gonna ask you so many times, but like imagine being in that scenario. Like you know that you're at the lowest point you've ever been.
Yeah,
and you feel like you're powerless to do anything. You'd feel like you're powerless. You were just sat there and you were just, what do you
helpless.
do?
There's not many people in the world that
can
understand.
Yeah.
Any of the stuff he's been
because
through. Like,
yeah,
that
like,
is.
Once again, I've said it again. I'm gonna say it again, but you can't fathom it. You can't. Like, it's impossible. I couldn't imagine that.
He has lived a life of some movie that you'd watch.
Oh yeah, if he
I would love.
If he turns his book into a movie, like he's talking about,
I would love
it would
to
be
see
insane.
the book turn into a movie.
Yeah.
I would love to see it. I would pay so much money to go and see that because I just want. I want to see the world through his eyes. Because to be as successful as you are now, you must be just fueled in the back of your mind by like the fact that you've overcome that.
Yeah,
you've
where
got
you're
over
from.
that, and now you're here, and you just where you're from, what you've done, where you've come from, where you are now. It's just like, I mean, like And he said that memory will never be erased from his mind, like ever. And just to have that, something that will never, ever, ever leave you. Just,
something like that. It will never leave you.
It's fucking like, yeah.
It's not exactly something I'd want to keep in my mind. I'd rather have a happy memory that'd never leave me, but can't have them all.
Well, yeah, and he said as well he was prepared to go down as a drug dealer. He was prepared for that to be his legacy, was for him to just die the heroin addict. But God bless for our sakes that he didn't, because now we've got like
more content.
Probably the greatest. More content primarily.
More content.
Yeah, that's the important bit. But obviously, probably the greatest YouTuber ever, and like probably.
I won't even count as a YouTuber.
It's just a book.
Just a book, yeah. Just
published
a book.
Top-selling book.
I mean, like, yeah. I mean, here we go. Okay, now we got some of the injuries. Oh god.
Oh god. Yeah,
this is.
A lot of
so yeah, of course we got the pothole injury, which would be the ankle one. I'm not going to go into detail.
No.
But
if you wanna know the details,
pothole.
Mike does talk
So
about
imagine
it
this
his...
is a pothole. This is a pothole. Yeah, no, actually, I'm not gonna ruin
Don't.
it. Go watch the video. go watch their podcast.
It's quite graphic. He puts pictures up as well if you really wanna see the injuries.
Fuck that.
And I mean, like when he did that injury, right? What I'm gonna say, after he did that injury, he was pulled over by the police because he was with his gang at this time, and he was held on the floor for.
Yeah, he was on his way to the hospital.
We mentioned the injury earlier in the video, so if you remember it. But he was on the floor, right, with this injury that was bad for 2 hours. With that there.
It could have been
and
a lot worse.
He had to climb out of the car.
He was going to the hospital. Yeah. He dropped off all of the stuff he was carrying because he said he was carrying like way more than he usually does because he had a big load on.
I think it was something like 35 bags or something, wasn't it? Of like heroin they had in the car.
And so if they didn't drop that off, they would have been.
Yeah, we would never see it.
Knows how long.
He wouldn't have been around.
And they searched his car because they said
I think
some guy reported them as an armed robbery.
Yeah.
But they didn't have any weapons.
Yeah, those are the girls in the car, weren't they?
That was a different story.
Then when they like.
No, that's all the same.
That was different. That was different, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the girls thing is different. The girls thing's different, but the.
Oh no! Yeah, no, yeah. The neighbors called it.
The neighbors thought there was an armed robbery or something going on, so they reported that car, and then the police tracked it down, searched it, nothing was in there, so they got clear. But that could have been a whole different story.
Okay, right. Now we're going on to the bit which I hope inspires people, if you're down anywhere, which is his redemption. Mm-hmm. Now this is like, before we even get into like the details of it, like. It's nuts, isn't it? Like how you've come back from something like
won the
that
gulag,
to do
and he's done bits.
He's won the gulag.
He has fully won the gulag.
The way he did it too.
Brought back his whole team. He bought a self-revive for everybody, and then won. and then he won the game. And you know who his last kill was? It was Vicstar. That's the level of this comeback. Like,
it was Vicstar.
Yeah, I mean, like, so you said obviously, as a child, right? Mike had like a higher than normal IQ, and once again, that's just another thing to show you like that no one's invincible. And, like he can go down. That was another thing that brought back his obviously back in his comeback. So he also mentioned the only reason he rebounded is because he had people keeping his light shining, which is just like obviously goes back to what we mentioned earlier, which is about the importance of like having people around you that, or no, you know,
well,
making
yeah,
someone,
that's his main message in his
bringing
book,
someone back up.
You need people around you, otherwise you just fall apart.
Yeah, because wasn't the whole reason
First line of
the whole reason why he went into rehab was because his probation officer said that if you don't go into rehab, I'm taking you to prison.
Yeah,
quite possibly.
And then you had as well. Like, isn't the first line of his book to like addicts, which says like, isn't it something that, like, I don't know I can't remember the exact quote, but I think it's something to like keep yourself going or something, isn't it? It's like
I have no idea.
I don't know what it
you
is.
mean.
Particularly.
I mean, in the podcast it
but
says about that. Like, if there's any addicts out there, if you're still fighting this, keep going, because there's always like a light.
That's what it is. That's what it was.
There's people that have fallen, but if you're still fighting, there's still something that you're fighting for, so keep going.
Yeah, because he says he has a warrior spirit, and that's the thing that kept him going, was the fact that he wanted to prove to his mother that he could become something, and he could make it. And then, of course, we'll get into this a bit later, but the story he met Logan Paul is just fucking funny. Like, it is, isn't it?
The way, like, the whole thing, like, how he went from rehab to where he is now is just so weird.
Yeah. But, like, he's gone from having 10 pistols in his face, or not pistols, but guns in general, in his face. So he stared down the barrel of death 10 times, right? To become one of the biggest podcasts on YouTube. And also, this is amazing, finally being able to do this, but upon hearing that his story had changed people's lives, like specifically mentioning the story about a 17-year-old boy who he got to stop taking pills, like, he felt he had to write it. Like, he felt like he had to, that's why he wrote the book. Really was because of that. Like, he got someone, like, it's kind of, it's just like, sort of, even if you help one person before you die, like, that's good enough.
You've done a good thing. Yeah.
We all know where we got that. We all know where I got that quote from. If some of you know that, you know me well. You two might not remember because you got terrible memories, but
I have no idea.
Do you remember? Okay.
I don't know how anyone's going to know that.
I doubt anyone will know. But if you know, guys, you know me well.
Comment it.
Yeah, I just think it's so inspirational. Like, yeah. Oh yeah, if you do know, please comment it. That'd be amazing. But yeah, Mike, obviously, as Joe says, using this story to show addicts that, you can get out, you can escape. It's just, that's the most important thing about it. And the pure fact, if anyone has made it through addiction, that shows you have got it. Even if you like come out of addiction. This is another thing he said, wasn't it? About how, like, if you feel you can't go anywhere, you have nothing to do, nowhere to go. If you've made it over addiction, you have something.
Yeah,
definitely.
And you can put that somewhere. There's always somewhere that you can use that fight, like he has.
Yeah.
He jumped around jobs in the most almost scammy way possible.
Blagged his way in.
He started as like a cleaner or something for someone.
And he was a dog walker.
Really low wage.
He said his older sister got him into
dog walker.
His older sister got him into dog walking, and then from the dog walking, see, this is the thing. This is what he said in the video. He said he just tried things as much as he could just to like get himself going again. And so he tried dog walking was the first thing. Then can anyone guess what he got moved up to?
He was a photographer, wasn't he?
Well, I wouldn't say he got moved
wedding
up
photographer.
To. He scammed his way into it. He lied and said that he did wedding photography. Went on one thing, got paid enough, bought a drone, and then became a drone.
He tried it.
Got more money from that.
He just tried things.
Yeah.
It's just
and
like
he applied.
It's clear he's a very smart guy. But then
blagged
of course,
got
a camera, bought a camera, and then started taking pictures. Someone asked him, "Oh, so you're a photographer?" He was like, "Yeah."
After no experience at all.
Yeah, never been. He'd never even been to a wedding in his life. That's what he said in the podcast as well.
Yeah.
He'd never even been to one. But it's just like, it shows you that like after addiction, it's not, you don't just come out. And you know, maybe that's a commentary that, you know, there should be more for people who come out of addiction, because I don't think there's enough, honestly. Because they didn't say that in the podcast, but I was thinking it while I was watching it. I was like, how is it? Rehab can only do so much. You know what I mean? Like,
I think rehab's a starting point. Obviously,
yeah. I don't think personally. Do you think there's enough afterwards to help you like carry on?
Oh no.
Like, do you think there could be more?
It's like the army. As soon as you're out of the army, that's it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%. Yeah.
Like,
because he mentions about vets as well in the video about like how so many of them are homeless and stuff.
Yeah. Because obviously with my background, let's say, I know loads of people that were moving around house like I was, and now they've got nothing. I know, like my dad's friends.
It's just like
all that kind of stuff.
And I mean, like, I don't want this to sound like this, but I mean, like, if like really army, like, I mean, with addicts, I can see why, because obviously compared to army vets compared to army vets or whatever, I can see why you would think they wouldn't be worth, even though they are worth it. You know, I can see why you think they wouldn't be worth it. But for people who have gone to war for your country and you just like,
yeah,
it's just nuts. Like,
it's very similar to like the
what do you think about
rehab
that
kind of thing?
I know what you're saying. Like when you just said you can kind of understand why people like shrug them off, but obviously
yeah,
they've done so much almost behind the scenes. Like,
I mean, like, the most important
it's
thing really is you've got to remember, people are people, man. Like, it doesn't matter what you've done before. I mean, Mike's a perfect example of this. It doesn't matter who you've been before. You are a person, and you have the worth of any other person. So, which could be argued, of course. You know, that could obviously be argued with, like, obviously Adolf Hitler doesn't have the same like amount of worth as Mother Teresa. I heard Mother Teresa drowns babies. Anyway, but like, yeah. But like, yeah, obviously they don't have the same worth. But like, you know, for people who I just did the squeak again. Do you hear that?
I did not. That's that time.
Have you had a little squeak?
I heard it earlier.
Squeakums. Anyway, but yeah, of course, everyone has a worth, I think, and you should. Yeah, but of course, after the wedding photos, Joe's right went on to the drones, did drone wedding things, and then of course went on to work for Lovesack, which is a beanbag company, beanbag chair company. I'm pretty sure, wasn't it?
No experience in marketing, but.
And then in the interview,
got his way into
in the interview, spoke his truth. On his first day, it was on his first day, wasn't it? He said, "Look, I was a drug addict, I'm a felon, whatever." But then his manager, which was, I think he was a Mormon, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He forgave him, which is just like, it's another part in the story where it's like one thing different, one thing, and you wouldn't be here.
Yeah, if that guy wasn't a Mormon or didn't like the way he approached it, who knows where he'd be.
And then last thing, Logan Paul got involved with Mike because he wanted a promotion. He wanted a free chair from Lovesack when he was a Vine star. And from there, pretty sure we all know the story of Mike Majlak. I said it again.
Fuck's sake. Majlak.
Pretty much the greatest comeback story in the history of YouTube. Of course, after that, got involved with Logan, started speaking, started texting, got invited out to a party, and they became friends. And then everything from there we all know. So
the night shift is brilliant.
Insane.
Just saying.
And so I picked out 2 quotes from the video, from the podcast, that I think we should finish off with. And that is, the first one is, pain is relative to the person who's gone through it. And that was Mike saying, even though like he's gone through all this stuff, he doesn't hold himself any higher than anyone who's like gone through less with pain. Like, pain. Do you get what you were saying by that?
Yeah.
So it's like,
pain's relevant to each person.
He used the example of like stubbing your toe or like showing your hand in a car, and he said like, if that person hasn't experienced any pain higher than that, then
it's all the same.
It's the same feeling.
Yeah.
It's all the same.
Pain's pain.
And then the last quote, which is probably the best quote of the whole video. There is no community in this world as strong as those suffering. And that is just... It's true. Like, it just is. Like, it's so true. Because in times where people are suffering, the best thing to do is come together. And I just think, like, spot on.
Amen.
Like, amen to that.
Dan's going on
Amen
Jesus.
So, if you have enjoyed this podcast as much as I have, because I have enjoyed it a lot, if you boys enjoyed it, it's been a good one.
Yes.
It's been quite deep.
Bit short for you today. Probably about 49 minutes by the time we're finished. But yeah, so of course, hope you've been inspired. Don't know why you would be, but I hope you have.
Send this to Mike. Buy the book, send it to Mike.
Please send this to Mike and Logan. That would be bang. Let's go. Get our free shout out. But yeah, if you guys have enjoyed, of course, please leave a like. If you're new, subscribe. Should we do a word today? Made it the whole way through?
Drug.
That's a bit boring.
Drug.
What do you want?
That is boring, but we're going with it.
Deodorant.
Barnacles.
Love sack.
Love sack. Aww.
We'll go deodorant. I like that.
Yay!
I like that one.
Fuck you, Joe.
Love sack would have made sense, but
drug.
we're going with deodorant. Anyway, so yeah, if you've got to this point in the video, which I really hope you have, because it's been a really good podcast, please comment deodorant. And as well, just before we end the video, of course, if you wouldn't mind, please check out our social medias. They're on the screen right now. We've got an Instagram, we've got a TikTok, we've got an out of context Twitter, which we are uploading every single week on now. Smashing them out. They are very funny. Just nice funny clips of us. So yeah, any last word, boys, just before we go?
Have a nice.
Don't do drugs.
Don't do drugs. Dan.
Oh, and it's cutting up.
Dan,
Don't do drugs.
Dan, did you hear that?
Dan, don't do drugs.
No.
Don't do drugs.
Don't do
Stop doing
drugs.
Dan.
That's right, kids. Don't do drugs.
Dan, don't do
Anyway.
drugs.
Hope you guys have enjoyed the podcast. What?
Stop doing drugs.
Just
Don't
stop.
do it.
Hope you guys have enjoyed the podcast. We'll be back next week for another one. So have a good week, you guys, and we'll see you soon. Peace. My ballsack is so sweaty.